It's obvious it's you. What were you even doing down there in the first place? Go ahead and pull out some imaginary first person who saw the body all you like. No matter how you frame it, your story isn't making sense. You're the one who first broke down the door. No doubt about it.
Of course my story isn't lining up. My head is a mess right now. I just lost one of my few friends I had left here. This whole morning has been a blur. No one would have their story straight in a situation like this. You of all people should know what it's like.
Don't you dare bring him into this. You know what? Let's fucking talk about how close you two were. Wang said it before. If she was gonna help anyone get out of here, it would be you. You made her completely fucking dependent on you. Barely anyone else even talked to her. Hell, it wouldn't surprise me if you gave her the idea to do this in the first place.
I wouldn't do that! I wanted her to get better! Would I have stuck with Dr. Linnaeus' rules if I wanted her to hurt herself again? It doesn't make sense. She was doing better. Besides, we still don't know if she was the one who set this all up. You're accusing me of all of this on a random, baseless assumption!
It's like Lai said. Maybe knowing she was finally gonna do it this time gave her some sick sort of peace of mind. Made her seem better. This had to have been set up by her. It's the only thing that makes sense. And you were the one who broke the door! She probably told you to get over there. Through a note or something else. If you weren't in a rush to try and get down there, wouldn't you have noticed the blackout? Done something about it? And where the hell would the first witness even have gone? Everyone, aside from Alora and Takiko, was on the other side of the prison.
How do we know she set all of this up? What even confirms that?
The broken broom!
Huh?
If she didn't set it up, then how the hell did someone get in or out of that room without breaking the broom and setting off the trap? You couldn't have exactly placed the broom in the door from the other side, could you? So she set this all up, so whoever entered the room first would be her killer. But you already knew that, didn't you? If you didn't, you wouldn't have lied about the doors already having been opened by the time you got there. But you knew you killed her. You knew what would happen if we caught on. So you lied, like the coward you are.
Shinko, you...
If it makes him own up to it quicker, if opening the door is what killed her, that pretty much confirms she was the second dead. Iz said she saw him earlier that morning leaving the washing room, so he probably hadn't opened the door by then.
It's likely she died only a little bit before me and Uchiyama arrived. He did seem pretty shocked then.
Yeah, he was totally catatonic. At the time, I thought it was just because he lost a friend, but if he killed her, then...
No matter what happened, it's probably for the best that we focus on Blondie specifically, if it's looking like his death happened first.
if we're right about Mize?
I believe only Kutsuki could properly confirm what happened at this stage.
Yeah, great. We're not gonna be getting anything out of him.
Shinku, did you...
I'm so sorry. Oh God. It all happened so fast. Oh God, it was so fast. 1 second she was, and then the next.
Kutsuki, what actually happened?
We just want to know.
After I got back from the washing room, there was this note from Molly in my cell. She told me to go to the lecture hall. It really sounded like a suicide note. I thought maybe it was related to her dare, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I raced over and she was still alive. She was still talking to me, but the door was locked. I couldn't get in, and I was trying. I really was. I eventually was able to break the door open. It took a lot of force, though, and I basically stumbled through. I felt the tripwire on my feet, and before I knew it, she was hoisted up, and I heard this awful snap. And she was gone. Just like that.
So... you?
I killed Molly. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to save her.
Shinku.
And you really had no idea this was gonna happen, kid?
No, I really thought she was doing better. I thought I finally started to properly understand her. The night before, we were talking, and she seemed so much better. What happened?
Well, maybe it's like what I said earlier. People often seem better right before they're about to do it.
But it wasn't like that. Why would she throw away her life for someone like me?
And in the end, it didn't matter one bit. It's looking like Blondie died first, if your story is true anyway.
What a pathetic attempt at self-sacrifice. You'd think if you were gonna set something like that up, you'd at least make it less obvious who you were trying to get to set it off. Well, it took her about 3 attempts to finally succeed in killing herself, so who's really surprised she wasn't the brightest when it comes to setting this whole thing up? Still, a waste of a prisoner slot if you ask me. She was just avoiding consequences once again by throwing her life away. Realized she couldn't get babied anymore, so took the easy way out. Typical.
Stop!
Struck a nerve, Owen.
Just, please, shut up. Don't talk about her like that.
Shinku? Hey!
Just stop. Just.
As awful as it is to say, it is looking like she died second. So we should probably focus on Taka right now. We can talk about this later, Shinku. Okay?
Right, yes, let's focus on Taka for now.
We should try and establish where everyone was at the time the murder happened.
Well, to get that, we sort of have to figure out when it happened.
Well, he certainly wasn't in the courtyard when I entered it to get to the faith room this morning. It must have occurred sometime after I entered.
That's if your story holds up.
Why on earth would I lie when we're on a time limit?
Well, Sam had no issue doing it. If he just admitted what happened, it would have saved us a whole lot of time. But no, he had to be a coward about it. Typical.
I didn't want to die!
Oh, So you were willing to throw everyone under the bus if it meant you'd get off scot-free.
It's natural instinct to want to protect yourself. I'm sure this morning has been emotionally turbulent for him. Of course he's not going to be acting rationally.
Yeah, you seem to surround yourself with people who lack any sort of rational thinking or impulse control. First David, now Sam. Looking to go 3 for 3?
Why you?
We don't have time for this! Come on, guys! Let's save it for after the trial.
Right.
Iz's alibi is all we have to go off of for a frame of reference for when it happened. So that's what we're gonna go off of, okay? Now, where was everyone during that time? I was looking around for Kiko in the morning. After her truth came out, I wanted to check up on her. I was looking for her when I ran into Zeke, actually.
I went to the courtyard that morning to put some flowers on his grave. It's become something of a habit. I walked in and saw him in the pond. Freaked out. Left to go get someone else. And I ran into... I tried to stop them from entering. Since, you know, the two were close. And I didn't want her to see him like that. But she raced in anyway.
That's when the body discovery went off, which caused Iz to exit the faith room.
Correct. So that's where us three were.
I can confirm Z left that morning. I stayed in our cell to sleep in, and I kinda slept in most of the morning. I went to go chill in the common room after a bit and heard the body discovery announcements when I was in there. I know, like, being in my cell alone isn't much of an alibi, but it's all I've got.
For what it's worth, I was also alone in my cell most of the morning. I left when I heard the body discovery announcement and saw Scrunchy in the common room, so I can at least confirm that part of her alibi. We kinda stuck together after that, throughout the investigation. We left into the hallway, which is where we ran into the doc who sent us to the lecture hall.
Well, that gives them a slight bit more credibility. At least.
But that's still sometime in the morning where they're both unaccounted for.
Take it or leave it, it's what happened.
I think I went over it before, but I was on the east side of the prison. I was going to go check on Maiko after yesterday. But because of the blackout, I went to Lab 1 to try to reset the fuse box. It was flooded, as you know, which probably caused it. And while I was trying to reset it, Alora came into the room, so she can confirm I was there.
Indeed. I was also going there to try to sort out the blackout. I was doing some work in Lab 2 that morning when the lights went out. It was fairly inconvenient.
And then after the body discovery announcement, we rushed to try and find it, but instead found Shinku in a lecture hall with Maiko, which caused the second body discovery.
I think it's safe to say you, Alora, and Shinku are cleared, considering you were on the complete opposite side of the prison.
So, assuming Iz's account is correct and the body only appeared there later, then who the hell could have done this? We're all pretty much accounted for aside from me and Fu.
All I'm saying is there's someone right by the body who didn't have to go through the hallways or anything, so wouldn't have been spotted.
Oh my goodness, Ezekiel? For the last time.
All I'm saying is I saw no one moving from the west side of the prison when I was going over there. If Isabel's not lying about when the body appeared, then I would have seen someone walking through the hallways, or canteen, or something. If he wandered into the courtyard, she could have marked him easily and moved to the faith room and played dumb when the body was discovered. Or maybe her plan was messed up by me being in the hallways, so she had to quickly move to the faith room and make up her bullshit story.
It's not made up.
Then why the hell didn't you hear anything, huh? Like, come on! You seriously want me to believe you didn't hear the body getting dumped? Or Taka getting attacked? Or anything?
I didn't, I swear. The only thing I heard the entire time was the water falling from the courtyard, which you always hear when you're in the faith room.
Is it possible that it was loud enough to mask the sound of anything happening?
I doubt it. It only masks noise really close to the pond. And even then, not really.
Well, no one else was close enough to the body to have done something.
Aside from you.
What the hell do you mean?
You were the only one in the hallways, as you've said multiple times already. No one would have seen you if you did anything.
The fuck are you implying?
All I'm saying is, if anyone could have gotten the opportunity, it would be you. It would explain why you were reluctant to let Asuga into the courtyard. You hadn't finished clearing up all the evidence yet.
Are you that much of a psycho? I didn't want them to enter because that was their friend. Do you have any idea how much it haunts you to see someone you care about like that? Well, I guess maybe not. You didn't have the guts to watch him.
Elias, that's enough. Mindlessly insulting one another isn't going to get us anywhere.
He's only doing it because he doesn't have any other defense. It's clear.
It can't be Ezekiel.
What?
I've got it.
The body discovery rules state that the announcement goes off when 3 people encounter it, and this can include the killer, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Well, given it went off after Asuka and Zeke saw the body, that only makes 2 of them that saw it. It was the announcement going off that brought Ismini out of the faith room after all. So the 3rd person who saw the body is likely the killer, meaning Zeke and Asuka are likely cleared, as they must have been the other 2 who saw it that weren't the killer.
It's slightly flimsy logic, but I can get behind it. No one else reported seeing Taka's body that morning, did they?
Nope. There was no one around that side of the prison anyway. Aside from Isabel. Which brings me right back to...
I don't think Iz is the killer either.
Oh, here we go.
Do you seriously think Ismini is that stupid that she would run into the faith room, the room literally directly connected to the courtyard with no other way out of it, after killing someone in the courtyard?
Okay, well, if I said yes...
Oh my goodness, you are testing me.
All I'm saying is if I was in the hallway, then she could have panicked and hid in there.
Why wouldn't I just pretend I'd encountered the body myself and stumbled upon it? I've used the bottom exit of the courtyard. Let's use some critical thinking for once and realize there are a million things I could have and would have done if I'd killed Taka. None of which would be running into the room directly next to the one where I murdered him. That would be a terrible idea.
But then the question stands, who else was on that side of the prison at the time? More importantly, why didn't Ismini hear anything from the faith room if he was murdered in the courtyard?
Maybe he was killed somewhere else and then his body was dumped in the courtyard? His body was covered in acid burns. Maybe he was killed in the medicine storage, then moved there?
But then, why didn't Zeke see anyone going through the halls?
It could have happened earlier. It might have been one of the 2 in their cells. The ones unaccounted for.
But I couldn't have gone out earlier. Zeke was in his cell with me. He would have noticed me leaving.
Right. I only left when I was going to the courtyard. Lai didn't leave at any point while I was there.
Then that leaves Fu. I mean, he did try and kill Taka before.
And he is unaccounted for.
You're really overestimating how early I get up, kid.
That's not a defense.
Hey! I only woke up when I heard the body discovery announcement. Scrunchy can attest to that. I looked pretty groggy when I got out of my cell, I imagine.
Well, yeah, but looking pretty groggy isn't much of a defense either, is it?
But even if he did the murder fairly early, then moved the body while I was in the faith room, wouldn't Ezekiel have spotted him in the halls? Or even Shinku when he was leaving after doing his washing?
I mean, yeah, there was definitely some time that there were no eyes on the halls, but the timing would have to be pretty tight.
A little too tight for my comfort. I don't know. It's just not making much sense to me.
It's really all we have to go off, though.
It would be handy if we had more specific timings. Besides, I'm apprehensive about Wang. He does have quite a presence. I feel like I would have heard him, or anyone for that matter, entering the courtyard and dumping a body there.
That's also what's still bugging me. How on earth did you not hear the body getting dumped there, or remember hearing anything at all? It also makes me wonder if there was a way his body could have been transported there without alerting attention from anyone.
Hang on! That's it!
Huh? Asuka?
I just realized something super, super important! There absolutely was a way! Taka told me!
Taka told you?
Hold on, give me a sec. My brain is moving at 1,000 miles an hour. Everything's making sense now! We'll figure this out, don't you worry. Just listen closely. Okay, so we've established already that the killer likely didn't physically transport the body through the halls. 'Cause if they did, either you or Zeke would have spotted them when you were walking through. Which means that the way the killer dumped the body must have been something they could do. Yatta! You've got it! But even if it was something the killer was able to do far away, it still doesn't avoid the fact Iz was in the faith room. It had to be something she wouldn't have heard or easily noticed. Meaning it was probably... Yep, exactly! Let's keep this up! Right, and according to Taka, all the prison sewage systems are self-sustaining. Apparently, Alora tried to see if she could find an escape through them, but they just loop in on themselves. And there's a small waste treatment plant in the prison itself. That's what he told me anyway. He was pretty excited about all of Alora's plans and ideas, even when they didn't work out. Anyway, considering all the water in the prison is reused, it's not out of the question that the sewage system is linked to... And so... we have our answer!
Taka's body could have been transported through the waterways.
The who and the what?
The waterways! The ones used for sewage and stuff. Alora managed to map them out. They circle all around the prison, and all wastewater is treated within the prison itself.
That is correct.
Shit. They really wanted to make this place cut off from everything else, huh?
That's what has made it particularly hard to find an exit. The obvious answers are all dead ends.
They're pretty wide though, right? I remember Taka telling me that both you and him explored them and were able to walk through them and stuff.
Right. Although they're really not the most pleasant. I wouldn't recommend it.
But are there any exposed areas where the body could have been dumped? I mean, obviously it would link to places like the shower block, but all the drains there are far too small.
There's gotta be other exposed areas somehow.
Well, I mean, if Alora and Taka were able to get in, there has to be.
What about the exposed waterway in the East Prison hallways? I've always considered exploring it, but the stream seemed way too rapid.
Either way, the specifics of where his body was dumped don't really matter.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Well, even so, there's only one person aside from Taka who knows about the layout of the sewage system. Only one person alive who would have known it would have circled back to the courtyard.
This is presuming they did this intentionally and wasn't just dumping the body into them to get rid of it without any idea of where it ended up, which is equally as likely.
No, I think this person intentionally wanted to get Taka into the courtyard, as far away from them as possible. And that person is... I've got it! Dr. Elenius. The only reason Taka knew about the sewage system in the first place was due to you. You're the only other person in this prison who knew how it worked, who knew where his body would likely end up. And considering your position on the east side of the prison, right next to one of the exposed waterways, you would have had the perfect opportunity.
Well, I see how it is. I understand where you're coming from, but your theory relies far too heavily on assumptions and leaps in logic. But I'm happy to properly defend myself and clear my name if it means we can get this trial back on track. Trust me when I say I would... No. I could never hurt Takahiro.
I don't feel good about this at all. I'm kind of disappointed, honestly.
Huh? Why? Double deaths, double the fun.
I don't know. It's just... I guess it doesn't feel the same when someone else set up the death and forced someone to kill them. It kinda removes individual agency, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for a murderer being forced to live on after they've killed and actually face the consequences of their actions. But it's different when they never intended to kill anyone. I don't know, it's weird. Can you really hold them accountable? It just feels like a bit of a cop-out.
That's just what makes it so good. He never asked for this. He's gonna have to live with this for the rest of his time here. No matter what he does, her death will be on his hands. Oh, I just can't wait to see how he'll react. Come on, Millie, don't tell me you're empathizing with Shinko Kutsuki of all people.
It's less about that. It's just... Will her life even have value after this? Did it mean anything? What was it all for? If anything, all this will do is get Shinko pity and sympathy. It'll be more about him than her. When it's also kinda messed up for her to make someone unknowingly a killer, but I also can't help but feel bad for...
Don't feel bad for them. They're ultimates. You hate ultimates.
I know. You don't need to remind me of all people. I guess I just prefer when things are more simple, when it's just black or white, right or wrong. When it's messy like this, there's not really a right answer.
Who cares if there's a right answer or if there's a wrong answer? All that matters is what it leads to. The end result is just what you get. You have to live with it. And if it's entertaining, that's good enough for me. You should be happy there's a trial with 2 victims. Those always get viewership to spike up massively. Hi, new viewers. If you haven't, you should totally check out the non-murdering bits as well. Yeah, they're sort of lame, but it's good for getting the context.
I guess plugging ourselves is better than plugging our sponsors.
Your accusation relies solely on the assumption that I'm the only one who could have known about the layout of the waterways. Correct?
That's the main crux of it, yes?
Then your logic is inherently flawed. I'm not the sole person who knew about them. Wang stole the blueprints I'd made mapping out the sewage system, maintenance routes, and ventilation system during one of the days of Truth or Dare.
Right. I remember those blueprints being stolen. But can we confirm that's what they were?
I can. I had a quick look at them when I picked them up. I didn't get, an in-depth look, but I can confirm it definitely was what Allura is saying it is.
And considering Wang has attempted to kill Takahiro before, I believe he's the more likely option. Especially considering, out of the 2 prisoners almost entirely unaccounted for, Wang doesn't have an alibi for the early morning like Chattel has.
Right. He could have easily slipped out and done it all that morning. It's a little tight when aligning with the timings of his Meanies account, but everything about the timing of this case is a bit precarious.
Hey, hold on here. The doc always gets up bright and early to do her experiments. Surely she would have heard something. Especially if we're assuming the murder happened in Lab 1, given the smashed up tube and everything.
Huh. I guess she was in the room next door.
Yes, the walls are quite thin. It's strange she didn't hear anything.
Maybe she was just really focused on her work?
So locked in she didn't hear a massive glass tube smashing? Yeah, I'm calling BS.
If I was on that side of the lab, wouldn't I have been spotted? I mean, come on. I only stabbed him once. I wouldn't do it again.
If you did it at the crack of dawn, then no one would have been around to spot it.
But Alora was on that side of the prison working, wasn't she? Why didn't she hear anything?
I do get very focused on my work. I tend to zone out my surroundings.
Yeah, so much so that you start talking to yourself. What's all that about?
I hardly think that's relevant to the case at hand.
Even if Allura was focused on work, wouldn't me or Shinku have spotted Wong leaving? Even if he was able to slip out quickly, we'd have seen him in the hallways, right?
No, that's wrong!
The blackout!
Oh, right! I get it now!
The hallways were completely pitch black. I hardly noticed it at the time since I was in a bit of a rush to get to lecture hall, but if Fu was leaving or slipping out, he absolutely would have had the opportunity to. Especially if the blackout meant he could more easily conceal himself, or was less likely to be spotted.
Precisely.
I don't know. I feel like even when it's dark, you can still kinda feel people are near, if that makes sense. Even if you can't see anything, you can still definitely hear something.
Well, to be fair, Laura and Takiko were likely stressed due to the blackout and focused on resolving that. And Shinku? Well, I don't need to tell you why he might have been a little focused on something else.
Yeah, but how the hell would Wang have planned any of this? He had no clue Molly was gonna kick the bucket.
I'm just confused why I didn't see anything if it's Fu.
What do you mean?
Well, after Z left to go to the courtyard, I hung about in the common room. I had to do some shit for my dare that involved other people, so I was kinda just hanging in there to see who would step in to rope them into it. Seemed like the place with most foot traffic. I never saw Fu step into the common room. I only saw him leave his cell when the announcement went off. And if we're assuming that around the time Zeke left is just a little bit after Taka's body got dumped, wouldn't I have seen Fu if he was coming back from the east side of the prison?
Okay, well, I'm glad we're mentioning that now, but perhaps next time you have evidence that completely clears someone, you could bring it up before we have a whole debate about it?
Sorry, being on a lesser dose is messing up my head a bit. I've got a killer headache.
Point is, I'm cleared. That's the end-all be-all of it. I owe you one, Scrunchy. If those headaches keep up, let me know. I might have something to help you.
We're not trading one addiction for another. It's a terrible idea.
But that makes our prime suspect.
Well,
Well, is that all you have to say?
I'm trying to think of a reasonable argument. Rest assured, I didn't.
Well, who else was even on that side of the prison? Takiko? I mean, if she hated Taka, is it that out of the question that she'd...
I didn't! I couldn't do that to Sugi! No way!
Right. There's no way she could have done it. Besides, she wouldn't have the strength to carry Taka to the sewage system.
I mean, it depends on which room the murder took place in. If it was close enough, even Takiko could have dragged him.
But given how severe the kid's injuries were, wouldn't there be a big mess?
Now that you mention it, why are we so convinced that Takahiro died on that side of the prison? There's various other points in the prison where he could have been dumped out into the sewage system. The one on the east side of the prison is just the most easily accessible.
But the only two people who would be aware of those access points would be you and Fu. And we've already cleared the latter.
I understand you're emotional. Trust me, I understand.
Do you? Cause for someone who apparently cared about him, you've seemed detached this whole trial.
Because I want to get to the bottom of this and make sure we all get out safely. If I let myself get overly emotional, then I wouldn't be the most rational. It's the exact reason why I tried not to get overly attached to anyone here. Right now, the best thing we can do for Takahiro is find his killer and ensure we don't all die.
Well, if you ask me, we're looking right at her.
Please, Elias,
Dr. Elenius, I want to believe you, okay? You've done so much for all of us. I want to trust you here. It's just, right now, you have to understand how this is all looking.
Trust me, Kutsuki. I understand. I'm not upset at any of you for accusing me. Everything does point in my direction.
But if you have anything that can prove your innocence, we'll hear you out, okay? I understand it might take you a second. It's hard losing someone you care about so suddenly.
Kutsuki.
Oh, touching. The two killers are in it together.
I didn't!
All right, Alora. Keep it together. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Okay. Circling back to what Wang said earlier. The one about the wounds being so intense they'd leave a mess. He raises a good point. While we're operating on the assumption that the murder happened on the east side of the prison, there's no visible bloodstains. Wounds of Takahiro's caliber would have left a significant mess. Blood loss from acid burns is incredibly severe. It would have been near impossible to clear that up in the short time frame we're assuming the murder occurred in. So why didn't we spot any?
I mean, did we get to investigate every room on that side of the prison?
Time was pretty tight.
Taki, did you ever get to the infirmary?
No, unfortunately not.
And I'm guessing no one checked the library.
Or the showers. It would be pretty easy to wash blood away there.
So the only rooms we can account for are the lecture hall and the two labs.
That's if Takahiro was murdered on that side of the prison to begin with. Once again, there are various other ways to access the waterways.
You say this, but I thought we already established the murder happened in Lab 1.
Wayne briefly mentioned it, but I wasn't sure if we'd confirmed that.
I mean, there must have been something that happened in here. Why else was the tube smashed?
Someone must have been in there at some point to trigger the blackout.
I assume the blackout was just caused by all the fluid that leaked out of the broken tube.
But then why was the tube broken in the first place?
Wait, I get it now. The tube was used to... I've got it! The tube was filled with some kind of fluid, right?
That's why Lab 1 was completely flooded. It all leaked out when the tube was broken.
If the tube was broken soon after Taka was killed, the tube could have floated away all the blood, or diluted it at least to make it less obvious.
I feel like flooding an entire room is far more obvious than just leaving a bloodstain.
A lot of this plan seems really inconvenient, honestly. Acid is such a messy way to kill someone. But even if you did kill someone in that way, you'd still see the blood in the water. It would be discolored.
But I don't think you'd be able to see the discoloration if there was a blackout.
Yeah, you could hardly see anything.
So the flooding provided an explanation for the blackout and hid the blood?
Sounds about right to me. But if you ask me, she probably caused the blackout herself.
Why on earth would I do that?
On the off chance that there was someone in the halls, it would give you a bit more cover when you went to transport his body from the lab to the sewage system.
Surely there's more convenient ways to do that. If Alora of all people killed someone, you'd think she'd have planned it out more meticulously.
Maybe it was impulsive? A lot of this seems pretty inconvenient or quickly thrown together.
Right. If I'd done this, do you think I'd have made it so obvious where he was killed if I was going to take steps to transport his body to the other side of the prison regardless?
You probably were going to.
Excuse me? I'm not sure what you're insinuating.
That's why you returned to Lab 1, right? It wasn't just to fix the blackout. You likely wanted to clear up some of the mistakes you made during the process.
Taki being in there likely threw a wrench in your plans, didn't she?
That would explain why you seemed so shocked when you entered.
I was just shocked by the flooding and blackout. It indicated something had happened and...
Hey, Did we ever figure out what the sheet Taka was wrapped in was?
We figured it was some kind of bedsheet. It was one of the generic white ones that are on the beds in the labs and infirmary.
And we didn't think to bring this up earlier?
To be fair, anyone could have stolen it from the laundry. And no one mentioned seeing any of them missing.
But no one went to the infirmary, and the only ones who went in either of the labs are Alora and Taki.
And I couldn't see anything due to the blackout.
I imagine the flooding and blackout also distracted you. You like they had bigger things to focus on.
But what was the purpose of the sheet in the first place?
Well, given the killer was so scared of being spotted in the hallways, they triggered a blackout. My best guess is the sheet was used to...
I've got it!
Given the killer seemed very concerned about being spotted in the hallways, I'm guessing the bedsheet was used to further conceal Taka's body in case they were spotted from far away.
That makes sense. This all just feels way too sloppy for Alora.
Well, if it was overly precise and meticulous, we'd all assume it was her, wouldn't we?
Yeah! Reverse psychology and all that shit!
That's not what.
Then what is it? Cause everything's pointing to you. I want to be reasonable here, but you can't deny it. Who else could it possibly be?
I don't know. I hadn't.
Yeah, go on. We caught your ass pretty early, so I'd say you got a solid 30 minutes to an hour to try to bullshit your way out of this.
Ah, the classic Isabel special. Too bad Shinku murked Molly. No one to push the blame onto this time.
Is now really the time?
As much as I hate to say it, Dr. Elenius, it's you, isn't it?
You really?
No, it's not like that. You see, well,
Give it a rest, kid. You're running out of arguments.
Wait, but if she dies, then our one chance out of here.
No, I just.
Wouldn't be all that much of a loss. If she hasn't come up with something already, we're not getting out. I'll give her credit. She tried her best. Those blueprints were pretty thorough, but it all looped right back into the prison. No way out. If I kept working to find every possible exit was a dead end, I'd crack under the pressure eventually.
This was just because she cracked under pressure? Taka died because she...
No, it's not! It's not like that! Not at all! I didn't!
Come up with that defense yet?
Why? Why on earth would I kill him in such a painful and horrible way when I cared about him? I cared about him so much. I wanted him to do better. I did, and I tried not to get attached. He just, oh God, he didn't deserve to die like that. Why on earth would I do that to him? Out of anyone here, why would I pick such a messy and horrible method for someone I actually cared about? Despite all my best efforts not to.
That's true. It's a pretty messed up thing to do to anyone, let alone someone you care about.
But we already established he wasn't killed by the acid burns, didn't we?
Then what was the point of them in the first place? If you were just going to slit his throat anyway, why would you be so cruel?
I wouldn't. I could never be that cruel to someone I cared about. I'm not a monster.
That's why you tried to stop them, didn't you?
Excuse me.
I've got it!
You cauterized the acid burn soon after he sustained them, didn't you? It was likely a rush job, but that would explain why the pond water was clear. There was no sign of blood in it.
The wound also has all the key signs of chemical cauterization, with all those weird black spots and shit.
And how would you know that exactly?
It's a long story. I don't think it's worth getting into here. But I feel like if I knew that, then the ultimate biochemist would definitely know. So it seemed weird to me she didn't say anything about it despite doing the autopsy.
I'm really glad you have all this really useful evidence and only choose to pull it out this late into the trial. You really know how to keep us on our toes.
Okay, I'm feeling a lot of negativity coming from you, and you know, it's getting kinda...
So, she just didn't mention the wounds were clearly chemically cauterized because she thought none of us would know the signs?
Probably because she also knew none of us likely knew what you had to use to chemically cauterize something aside from her. So if it was clear the acid burns were cauterized that way, it could easily link back to her.
But that still doesn't answer the question of why on earth you'd even use acid in the first place. That's just cruel. What is even the point of cauterizing them if you were just going to kill him anyway?
If you want my 2 cents, it was probably to put him out of his misery.
What?
Why she used the acid in the first place is beyond me, but it's clear she regretted it almost as soon as she did it. Did a sloppy chemical cauterization job. Then, you know, maybe figured to herself, wow, if everyone finds out I used to talk, then I'm as good as dead. So thought she might as well take the ticket out of here while she still had it.
Or maybe she just got impulsive and snapped on the kid due to all the pressure of her work, when she realized there really wasn't a way out of here.
No, that's not...
Point is, no matter what the circumstances were, it doesn't really matter. She still did it, and he's still dead.
And she's going to be gone soon.
Wait, but that means our one way out.
Is that seriously all you care about, kid?
No, don't yell at him. I should have tried harder. I should have done more. I'm sorry. Taka, I'm so...
Alora? What happened? What really happened? What did you do to him?
Saintil, I...
You're not gonna get anything out of her. It took her half the trial to even admit she cared about him. And she only did that to defend her ass. We should just pack it up and vote.
I hate to agree with Ezekiel, but that's likely the best thing we can do right now.
I really don't feel good about this, but...
Not like this! Wait! No! I can't. It can't end like this. It can't have all been for nothing. No, that wouldn't be fair.
Dr. Elenius, is everything okay?
Katsuki, surely you understand what it's like to lose someone you care about.
I understand what you're saying, trust me, I know how it feels, but... Please, you must know how this looks for you.
Of course my arguments aren't entirely foolproof. I'm not thinking the most rationally right now. But I can't die here. I haven't done enough yet, so I'll prove this wasn't me. I'll take down everyone's arguments one by one, if that's what it'll take. You just have to understand. I couldn't. No, I didn't hurt Taka. Takahiro. Please, Katsuki. I can still get us all out of here. We'll find the actual killer. Don't you worry, I just need more time. Please, be patient with me. There has to be a way out of here. You know I wouldn't stoop to something so rash. Please. Even if it was my only option, I couldn't murder someone. Especially not. Regardless, the whole thing was incredibly poorly done. Using the test tube to clean the lab is such a poor choice. Not to mention the method used to kill him. Do you really think I'd choose something like that? I couldn't. Not to him. There has to be a way out of here. You know I wouldn't stoop to something so rash. Please. Even if it was my only option, I couldn't murder someone. Especially not. Poorly done. Using the test tube to clean the lab is such a poor choice. Not to mention the method used to kill him. I couldn't. Not to him. There has to be a way out of here. You know I wouldn't stoop to something so rash. Please. Even if it was my only option. It's easy to do that to someone when it's just data on a spreadsheet. Murder someone when they're just controls or conditions. But even I couldn't do that to someone I cared about. Oh, God. I cared about him. You have to understand. I am awful with loss, Kutsuki. It's shameful to admit it, but I can't stand it. I told myself to emotionally detach myself. I didn't want to get close to someone. I knew it would just throw me off if someone died. I knew I'd become useless. I would have continued to try. Everyone down. I know. All I can do is apologize now. I told myself to emotionally detach myself. Things were looking dire. When it seemed I didn't like want to get close to someone. It was him who would look at me with wide eyes and ask us what we were trying next. He was so convinced there was another option. He never even considered we'd run out. I couldn't let him down. I couldn't let any of you down. There's nothing to say. I just have to keep on going. I can't let it be for nothing. I can't have the fact he's gone be for nothing. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm scared. I'm really scared. I don't want to die, Kutsuki. I didn't want him to die either. But I knew it was like that. Well, what kind of a life even is that? I made my choice. I don't care what that says about me. Who am I kidding? That wasn't my choice to make. I just can't. I can give you as many excuses as I'd like. The truth is, I couldn't lose her again. You have to understand. I don't know what I'd do if she was really gone. I really am pathetic. If I was really the one behind this, why would the murder be so sloppy when everything I do is meticulously planned?
I'll rewrite those words.
That's why it was so sloppy and impulsive, wasn't it? It was an accident.
I'm so sorry. I really, truly am sorry.
You...
Are we privy to talk about our dares now?
Oh, sure, go for it.
I had a dare about disfiguring someone with acid. I'd initially intended to do it to myself. I didn't want to rope anyone else into it, but he interrupted me. Taka, that is.
But... how on earth did he...
Was he trying to stop you? Or...
I wish it was that. I fear it's more pathetic.
Alora?
It was self-defense.
Yeah, sure.
I really... He was trying to destroy my earpiece. I freaked out in the moment, and one thing led to another, and all the acid spilled all over him. I rushed to clean it up, to cauterize it, but then, by that point, the state of him, I thought it would be less painful if I put him out of his misery.
You did... what?
I'm so unbelievably sorry.
You did all of this over your earpiece?
I didn't mean to. I was scared to lose her.
Lose who? What are you even saying?
You can pretend to be remorseful all you like, but you're no different from Jakul in my eyes. All this bullshit about not meaning to, it being an accident. At the end of the day, you still took the choice to slit his throat.
And you still left details out of the autopsy. You still tried to cover it up. You're only sorry because you got caught. If we hadn't pieced it together, you wouldn't have said anything. You'd have been fine with throwing us all under the bus, with all of us dying.
I can't believe it. His death. What did it even...
What did either of Molly and Taka's deaths even mean?
I'm sorry for making this so difficult for everyone. At the end of the day, I really can't excuse my actions. I was scared to die. But that's not special or anything. Everyone is. I'm just sorry I couldn't find us a way out. Maybe you'll all have better luck.
So, you really did do this? Forgive me, I'm just a little shocked. Out of everyone here, I just thought that you would perhaps be...
I'm sorry. In reality, I'm just as scared as the rest of you. I wish I could have been less selfish, less impulsive, less pathetic.
So, are we all on the same page on what happened here?
It would probably be for the best to run it over. Just to be safe.
I guess we do have the time.
Here, let me summarize it. I think it would make people a lot more comfortable with voting. I think I also need to clear up some things with Molly's death as well.
Do what you wish.
All right.
settle this case for you.
This case started last night when Molly decided she was going to take her own life. She gathered all the necessary materials to set up her planned contraption: ropes, weights, the box, and a broom. She set everything up so that when the door was broken down, the tripwire would cause the box to fall to the ground and hoist her up by the neck, killing her. She set this all up to cause someone else to murder her, so she'd be able to take her life while helping someone get out through it, giving meaning to her death. But she needed to wait till morning to fully execute it. The next day, the killer was up early trying to accomplish her dare, which involved her disfiguring herself with acid. In the middle of her attempt, Taka walked in on her and tried to take and destroy her earpiece, for what I assume was a dare. This made the killer freak out, and after a small altercation, the acid was poured over Taka, giving him severe acid burns. The killer panicked, not wanting to hurt the boy, and quickly grabbed something to chemically cauterize the burns before Taka sustained more damage. This also prevented further blood loss, stopping the room from getting overly messy, but it was already pretty bad at this point. Although, seeing the state he was in, the killer decided that it was better to put Taka out of his misery, and decided to kill him in that moment by puncturing an artery in his neck. The killer proceeded to break one of the test tubes to cause flooding in the lab, in an attempt to cover up the blood in the floor. The decision was impulsive and sloppy, further evidence that the killer didn't have the time to think this through properly. After this, the killer wrapped Taka in one of the bed sheets from the beds in the lab to conceal his body. They then tampered with the fuse box to cause a blackout, hoping these two measures would help prevent them from being seen as they transported Taka's body. Meanwhile, I ran into Ismini in the West Prison hallway when I was coming back from the washing room. After we departed from one another, Ismini moved through the courtyard to get into the faith room. At this stage, Taka's body was not in the pond. I returned back to my cell after this, where I found a note that Molly had left for me telling me to come to the lecture hall. As I found this note, the killer dumped Taka's body in the waterways in the East Prison. He proceeded to float through them to the courtyard. His body ultimately ended up in the courtyard pond and was found soon after by Ezekiel, who had gone in there to place flowers on Mint's grave. Meanwhile, the killer returned to Lab 1 to restore the lights by messing with the fuse box. Unfortunately for them, Takako was already trying to fix it. This complicated the killer's plan, but they played along with it. As this was happening, I went to the lecture hall, trying to stop Molly's suicide. Due to the broom that was stopping the door, I was unable to get in initially. It took me slamming to the door and breaking the broom for it to open. Which meant as I entered, I set off a tripwire, hoisting Molly into the air and killing her as the weights toppled to the ground. During this time, Asuka was looking around the west part of the prison for Takiko. As they were looking, they ran into Ezekiel leaving the courtyard. He tried to prevent her from entering, but she did anyway, spotting Taka's body and triggering the first body discovery announcement. Which spurred Ismini to leave the faith room, shocked to find the body considering she heard nothing happening in the courtyard due to the murder occurring elsewhere. It also spurred Takiko and the killer to start looking for the body. They found me by the entrance to the lecture hall and found Molly's body, triggering the second body discovery announcement. But due to the second killer rules, only the first killer counts for the purposes of this case. The killer of Taka Takahiro, and the one who will face punishment at the end of this trial, is you, Alora Elenius, the ultimate biochemist.
Well, this is it.
That's all you have to say?
What else is there to say that hasn't already been said?
This just feels like so much loss for nothing.
2 unwilling killers? Talk about boring! The first time, fine, sure, it can be cute if you execute it well. The second time, boo! Give me something to hold people accountable for.
Can you just shut up for once? I don't care if it's entertaining or not. It's what happened. And we're the ones who are going to have to live with it.
At least you are.
I apologize for not being collaborative, for concealing the truth. I don't know if I'd actually have been able to live with myself if I won. But I thought if I didn't, then Taka's death would have been for nothing.
He should be alive right now, Allura.
So, what? We're just gonna have to live with Sam being a killer?
Seems that way.
No offense. I'd rather take the doc over him, but hey, that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Trust me, I'm envious of her right now. At least she won't have to live with it on her conscience.
Kurtsuki, I don't want to.
Let's just vote already.
Wow, that felt kinda short for 2 bodies. You guys have really gotta start coming up with more convoluted plans. You know, a majority of people only tune in for the trial streams and not much else. If you keep having simple cases like this, we're gonna get a bad rep! Well, anyway, that concludes the trial, huh? Hope next time is a bit longer.